Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Zero Hour. I'm Richard RJ Eskow, and in the headlines, sexism, a culture of violence, untrustworthy leadership, runaway wealth inequality, and indifference to the health of workers, employees who are above the law, hush hush financing, multi-million dollar tax breaks, cushy deals with politicians. No, we're not talking about America's top corporations. We're not even talking about Christmas parties on Wall Street. We're talking about the National Football League. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell's handling of the Ray Rice incident, that videotape brutality, has brought the NFL back into the public eye in recent weeks, and it's a sorry spectacle. Others have talked about it at length, so we'll just repeat the cliche. It's the cover up, stupid. The NFL organization, but now let's talk about the NFL for a minute, okay? The NFL itself has 1,856 employees. It paid $107.7 million last year in salaries. Roger Goodell, who has recently satirized hilariously, I thought, on South Park, the Goodell bot, was paid more than $44 million last year. That means that more than 40% of the organization's entire payroll went to one individual. Most of Goodell's income was in the form of a quote unquote bonus based on performance standards, which, like that of most corporate CEOs, have never been publicly defined and are probably vague to begin with. Now, look, Roger Goodell is not a job creator, even by the right's rather loose definition. Like most corporate CEOs these days, Roger Goodell invented nothing, made nothing, and that's right, he built nothing. The gravy train he's riding on isn't his. And you know what? It doesn't just stop at his house. Jeff Pash, who's the general counsel of the NFL, got more than $6 million last year. The executive vice president of business ventures got more than $4 million. The CFO made nearly $2 million, and the EVPs of operations and human resources made more than $1.6 million each. Another executive was paid $26 million by a quote unquote affiliated organization whose name I couldn't find when I went through the public record. But all told, more than 54% of the NFL's entire payroll went to 5 people. That makes them the organization's top 0.0027%. The remaining 43% of the payroll was divided among 1,851 employees who make up the 99.9973%. Now that's what we call inequality. Executives like Roger Goodell, or for that matter, bank CEOs like JP Morgan Chase's Jamie Dimon, seem to be compensated more for their ability to influence elected officials than for their business acumen. On that score, at least, Goodell's been a good investment. In addition to protecting its tax status, can you believe the NFL is nonprofit? Goodell's NFL has also brokered loans, bonds, and tax concessions for its franchises whenever they want to build a new stadium or threaten to move to another town. Look, as for money, the NFL had annual gross receipts of $184.3 million in 2010, and that doesn't even include earnings for the individual franchises which run it. It reported $788,113,000 in total assets on that tax exemption form that I got a hold of. It gave exorbitant salaries to its top executives, and that's right, it paid no taxes. Goodell's hypocrisy and apparent dishonesty is a shameful but very CEO-like display, one for which he's not likely to be held accountable unless he becomes a financial liability. But that day may be coming. More than half of those polled said that sponsors should sever their ties with the NFL over its handling of these domestic violence scandals, including Rice's and that of running back Adrian Peterson of the Minnesota Vikings. A number of sponsors have said they don't want their ads running during games that involve either the Vikings or the Baltimore Ravens, where Rice used to play. You know, they say payback is a bitch. But in today's America, the only payback that matters is the one that comes in cold, hard cash. If the day comes that owners are forced to choose between Roger Goodell and their own profits, the response will be swift and sure, and Roger Goodell will face instant karma. He'll be fine, of course, no matter what happens, which can't be said about most Americans. But, we can't even say that can be said about most NFL employees. And as for Roger Goodell's accomplishments, Well, under his leadership, the NFL fought reports of player head injuries for years. Its security apparatus and legal teams have intervened whenever its players are arrested, often for violent crimes, getting them special treatment which ordinary citizens don't receive. It has fostered a culture of misogyny, brutality, and amorality in the field of sport where stars were once considered examples for young people to follow. But then the NFL isn't an example for today's corporatized America, is it? It's a reflection of it. I'm Richard RJ Eskow, and this is The Zero